Hi, everyone. It's Ari Honeyford with the Awkwardly Zen podcast, and I am so excited to introduce you to my very good friend and also Awkwardly Zen partner and Awkwardly Zen COO, Amber Totsch. You have lots of titles.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, Amber, why don't you briefly tell everyone what it is you do in the metaphysical world? Anything else you might want to share about, I don't know, how much you just love being a volunteer for Awkwardly Zen, any of that stuff.
Sure. So, honestly, I've had an intuitive gift, I think, since birth. Ever since I can remember, I've been sensitive to energy and could see spirits. And of course, didn't know any of that for a very long time and just kind of tried to function in life with that energy coming around. And then the more I learned about it, the more I understood myself and how I interacted with others, but never really used my gifts in terms of, helping others or giving messages or anything like that. It was just something that I lived with for a really long time. And then I met this wonderful group of women who it started with essential oils, but we honestly were connected on a different level. And really, that's where my education started with learning how to use those gifts to help others and to help myself even further and to kind of open up more to metaphysics and spirituality. And I am forever blessed for those people. And you are one of them.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't think everyone knows, but Awkwardly Zen, when it was gifted to me as a channeled message, and one day I called these women that Amber was saying, and I said, "Okay, I've got to tell you what's going on." And Amber, after I shared all of these insights and these downloads that I had gotten about it, and this is the thing, Amber said, "Okay, we're in." And I can so clearly remember that moment because it is truly the moment that this shifted from my thing to our thing. And I am always grateful for that because if you wouldn't have said that, we would not be sitting here on a podcast and have 18,000 people all over the world because I would have fried myself trying to run what Awkwardly Said became. So in that moment when you said like we're in and really you maybe didn't have any idea what you were committing to, uh can you remember that moment? Like what was it about it that you were just like, we've got to do this?
I honestly believe that it was that pivotal moment for me that turned my life literally upside down in all the best ways. So I was going through some really huge transitions in my personal life anyway. And honestly, that was the moment where I chose what resonated with me instead of doing everything for everyone else and being everything for everyone else. I had that moment listening to you and I was like, yeah, this is it. This feels good. This is the direction I'm going to go. And it was a total left turn from how I had lived my life up until that point. And so I think it was just I didn't have any other urge than to say yes. And it's been such a blessing. What's it been, like 4 years now, almost five?
It'll be four, no,
And
it'll be four in a couple weeks.
yeah, so I mean, personally speaking for myself, it's been a total life changer. Again, all the good ways. So like I call myself an intuitive energy channel and I speak that as my truth. And I have never ever spoken that, out loud to anyone before because I was afraid I'd be judged or, my family would walk away from me, which is not true. That's all my internal fears. None of that happened.
Right.
They all knew already. They all knew. And, I'm a medium. And then I also have this connection with energy and literally everything has a frequency. And I started to dig really deep in that and to see what that purpose was in my life. And I found sound baths and sound healing and got certified as a sound wave healing practitioner. And I bought a sound bed and that's really kind of the direction I've taken now. But I love doing messages or reading for people. I love mediumship. And it's something that feels so natural and also develops in different ways every time I do a reading, which is the most fascinating part of this entire thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What's so fascinating listening to you is remembering those time periods, right? As each of us kind of stepped into our own gifts. Because I think when we were starting this, at least from my end, I never imagined I'd be a practitioner. Um, or if I did, it was something that felt so remote that I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And to watch so many of us now from that original group step into our gifts, step into helping others in so many different ways has been such a beautiful thing. And to watch you, like, I didn't know you had all of these gifts. I didn't know you had all of that. And then and I think even I didn't know for quite a while into Awkwardly Zen. And then all of a sudden you were like, well, yeah, I do that. And and it was like, what? What? Uh, and and so that's been such a beautiful thing. Now, one of the things I love your frequency bed. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
a resonating frequency meditation is what I'm calling it. It's a sound bed.
Yeah, and we'll have all of Amber's contact information so you can figure out if you are in the Colorado area how you can get to her to do that. But your readings have been life-changing for so many people, myself included. And so can you talk a little bit about when you tap in, and that's the term I use, so tell me if you use a different term. When you tap in, what is the experience that you have on your end, and how can you help people with that?
Yeah, great question. So when I tap into people, I usually connect. I say that everybody has a radio frequency, right? They all have this frequency that they exist on. And so when I explain how I do my readings, I connect with their specific frequency. And then based off of that, I kind of step into your energy and whatever comes through, comes through. Oftentimes, excuse me, oftentimes I see or experience these, for lack of a better term, they're beams of light that kind of lets me identify who is coming forward and how far back that energy goes and how they connect with that individual. So it's guides, spirits, interstellars, anything like that can come through. And then usually it's kind of we sit in the round, right? So all of these energies are surrounding you and I can see them and I can see your aura color. And then based on if you have questions or not, it depends on who steps forward. Oftentimes you will have ancestors and people that you knew as family in this lifetime step forward for messages. And it just depends on what resonates with the person. So sometimes they'll give me a symbol like a flower, or they'll give me the feeling of how they were connected to you. So aunt, mother, uncle, female, masculine, feminine energies, that kind of thing, how you can identify them best. Sometimes it's smell. Sometimes it's how you experience them as an individual. So, if you had a perfume that you associate with them, I can smell that. Or a type of cigarette that they always smoked, I can smell that. It's really
Okay.
interesting to see how unique it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, clear smelling, which clear olfactory or clear, salience or clear aliens, depending on who you talk to. So all of those are so fascinating to me. The clear smelling, the clear taste, all of those. Because when I first learned about them, I thought, "Oh, I wouldn't want that." But it is such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
It is such a powerful tool to utilize, especially in mediumship, I have found.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because it really allows them to really connect with that person, even if it's through you, because all of a sudden they're remembering all of these things about that individual that kind of brings them closer to them in that moment. Yeah, I totally. It's funny. I like to tell people this, like when I'm not getting something, if they're trying to give me a message and I am totally missing the point, what they do is switch to how I would understand. And oftentimes it's movies. So um, I read once for a very young man, and I saw the elements from The Fifth Element. They came down as pillars and like slammed into the ground, and I was like, "Ooh!" And he had never seen the movie, but totally knew what I was talking about.
Right, right. Isn't that a funny thing about how it's like it does feel a little bit like a game sometimes when they're trying to figure out how exactly to get you to give the message as they want it, but they know they're dealing with our own filters. Uh,
Totally.
yeah, I enjoy that for sure.
Yeah.
Has there been, obviously without saying names or any personal information, has there been any readings, that have been just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened."
Yeah, honestly, another pivotal moment for me. I was doing a reading for someone that is near and dear to my heart, and I see them as like I before I could have never been the practitioner they were. I
Mm,
put them on in this, sectional of their own, and I could never. And it was before I did readings for anyone else. I was like, I can't do readings for any. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at it.
right.
And we were sitting there, and I was doing a reading for them, and I didn't know any of the information that had come through and told her about who had stepped forward and who had kind of brought someone else forward and gave them this like really personal message. And for a long time, I hesitated saying some of the things that I got because I was protecting the other person, which is none of my business.
Totally.
And so then this moment I was like, no, I'm going to say it this time. And I said everything that they wanted to say and the direction that they wanted her to go. And when the reading ended, she kind of sat back and she was like, I don't know why, but you are absolutely ready to do readings for other people. And she told me this beautiful story about how she didn't have a relationship with this person, in life. And that issue had been coming up for her a lot. And it just was like, oh crap, like I didn't know any of this. Maybe I do know what I'm doing.
Right. Well, and that's what we always say, right? Like when I'm doing my coaching clients for people who are working on their psychic gifts, that's one of the biggest things that I say is you've got to do it for other people because I don't know about you, but I find when I read for myself, I'm definitely seeing it through a filter, right? But when I read for someone else and I just say the message as it comes through and they go, "Oh my gosh, how do you know that?" There is
Yeah.
that moment of like, oh my god, I can do that. I can do this.
Yeah.
That then helps give you more confidence and more faith for the next one and the next one and the next one. And also you start realizing when you are putting your walls or your filters up. When
Hmm.
you say,
Yeah. 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 You can immediately feel it. I mean, even if you're just starting, you can immediately feel when your own stuff is coming in. And I think, that's the beautiful part of this is that you can give these messages to people that you don't even know. And that one moment, even though 16 other people might have said the same thing to them, they listen because you don't know them, they don't know you, and they're like, well, crap. I mean, if she knows, then I'm going to take this information and actually do something, and it's the most rewarding thing. And I'm not I'm not crazy for getting these messages. It is a thing. It is true. It's
right,
validating.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, how many times during this whole thing have we thought we were crazy?
Right.
Because I think that that's general, but then to keep going and to express that, and I feel for people who don't have that opportunity to get that
Yeah.
feedback. Because before both of us were doing readings as a profession, I think both of us had that same thing where it was like, this message has come through. Now what? Right?
Hmm.
Like, now what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I know we both feel very strongly about ethics,
Yeah.
and not just giving messages to everyone unless there is a connection for that and a request or a, uh, permission. So,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely, I feel that. So, when you look at the path as you've walked down it, and you can see yourself going from, "I've always had these gifts," into, "I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet and say, 'This is who I am.'" You still work a muggle job, you still are interacting in a very different world, so how do you find that doing the quote unquote "normal" versus the woo woo, the metaphysical side?
Yeah. I You can attest to this. I get stuck in my analytical brain a lot. That's why I am mostly on the back end of Awkwardly Zen doing all of the reports and moving
Right.
around of
Thank God
things.
for you. Yes.
Yeah, well, thanks, but it's little compared to what everybody else volunteers for. So I appreciate everybody. I would say that even in my muggle job, I can connect with people on that level. But it's for me, I have really had to work, especially lately, especially in the last year, on creating time for myself to step away instead of just relying on the morning routine and the evening routine. in the morning, I get up, I have my coffee, I get up way before anybody else does, just so I can be, in peace for a little bit. And I journal and I often pull cards or I'll listen to a tarot reading on YouTube or something like that. And then I meditate for quite a while, just to kind of ground myself because I know that most of the day is spent in that what's next, what's the process, what's going on. And even when I am spiritually going through growth, um, I get the same way. What's the next step? What do I have to do? Why is this happening? All of those things. And it's like, I really have to work on, and I have friends that really ground me, you included, that, help me step back and say, this is all happening for a reason. This is just energy moving. You don't have to understand all of it right now. Listen for what you need to do or what the message is. So I would say, I do create a lot of time during the day. I step away, even if it's walking, taking the dog out, doing something so that I can ground back into my energy self and get out of my brain for a second.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing you've told me about, which I really just adore, because I'm constantly saying that we have to be the ones that normalize spirituality within the day-to-day world, right? Because if we act like it's weird, then everyone else is going to act like it's weird. And one
Right.
of the things you've done is you have brought in some spiritual aspects, like in a light form, into your role at your position. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah. So I created something called Wellness Wednesdays. When we all sent everybody home for COVID, that included a call center, a pretty big call center. And we all know how call centers are. It's high emotion all day long. You get beat up from several different angles. And now we were sending this group of people home without really any face-to-face support. And that feels really alone. And so my goal was to at least once a week touch all of these people and let them know that I see them and I know how hard they're working and I know how alone they feel sometimes, but we're all in this together and we can support each other, through this one time a week. And so I created these Wellness Wednesday emails. That's really just kind of whatever's going on with myself in the moment, because I know I'm not the only person that's feeling what I'm feeling. And so I've been pretty candid with them about my path and what I try to do to help myself, and have created really this place that people look forward to hearing from me, just to know that it's a connection. And I've received a lot of feedback and wonderful comments about how I've helped. And so I um, I hide behind the curtain a lot. And so I've been trying to expand myself into, it's okay for people to see that side of me. It doesn't make me vulnerable because obviously I'm sharing personal things, not detailed, but
Right, right.
um, and I'm okay. And
Yeah.
so stepping out from behind that curtain has been a huge thing for me. I still struggle with it. I still go back into my hidey hole sometimes, but I have now created this blog on my website that kind of has the same theme for those Wellness Wednesdays, because, if I can touch even more people in that way, I want to make a difference that way.
Yeah, and tell people what your website is. We'll put it in the write-up.
Sure. It's embersandamber.com. So it's all spelled out, embersandamber.com.
Yeah, and I love your blogs and the direction. And I feel like we have such this beautiful opportunity right now to be a little bit vulnerable with people, right? To be a little bit more I'm not perfect and I do deal with challenges because I feel like in this world of social media there is this pressure to maintain an image. And I find that as I go down my own social media exploration, and but I feel I'm the same way. I share what is going on with me through silly videos so that I can relate with people and so people can know they're not alone in that. And it is a really cool thing when you hear someone go, "Oh my gosh, I thought it was just me." Uh,
Yeah.
oh no. Oh,
No.
no.
And it's equally as beneficial for you and for myself to get that stuff out. And then to have those connections of, oh my gosh, I'm going through the same thing. And it's like almost relieving. And it allows you to kind of shift your energy around it.
Well, and especially for someone like you who is much more private than someone like me. Like I have no problem stepping out from the curtain. I'm like, "What curtain? Get out of my way." Uh, and you're like, "I'll take the curtain. I'll be
Yeah.
the here."
Yeah.
So I win the team. But the awareness that I have seen in other people when they see that, because you have such um, I always say Amber is solid. Like, she had solid energy. She has been such a rock for me in so many ways because I am not solid. I am a flighty little bird. And so to have Amber who can immediately step into that role to be that support has been beautiful. But then to watch you realize that you don't have to be that all the
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it's a really personal journey, so we don't need to go deep into it, but, um, how has that been for you knowing that you are surrounded by people who can hold that space for you to not be that strong all the time?
I honestly am so grateful and touched that I do have you and these people around me to kind of remind me that I don't have to be so controlling.
Stable, stable.
Yeah, like it's like breathe. Because I do, it is easy for me to be grounded for someone else and to like create that energy of safety and groundedness and just a moment for other people. And what I have learned is as I kind of open up to our friend group and to our circle, um, it changes the way you guys hold space for me because you know more and can match that energy. And so it's like it creates this like healing vortex of I can put that down because I know that one, it doesn't have any impact on my safety, right? I don't have to control it because in the end, I'm just creating this false sense of control, trying to figure things out and make it go a certain direction because that never happens.
Right?
And two, I have these people who are all so energetically gifted that they can pick it up sometimes without me having to say anything. And that is the part for me that is the biggest struggle is saying something.
Mm.
And so being able to like have that, I feel like something's going on with you, what's going on? And then it gives me the opportunity to say, yes, there is, or no, I'm just not ready to talk about it.
Yeah, and for all those people out there who don't feel like they have that, I I just wanna go out there and say, like, I don't think you necessarily felt like you had that for
No. And
a long
sometimes I still don't. Yeah.
time.
Sometimes I still don't. Sometimes I still feel like I'm all alone in this game. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like when I catch myself in that mindset, it's like, oh, shut up. Like, no, you're not.
Well, and I think what's interesting about it is, to me at least, watching an Awkwardly Zen, I've watched so many people join in the community, and we've seen lots of people who have stepped out, right? Or they got what they needed for a moment and then they stepped
Yeah.
out, and maybe they'll come back later, or maybe they won't.
Mhm.
But then I've also watched people who have realized that their community is there for the taking, right? And
Mhm.
whether it's Awkwardly Zen or it's other communities out there, because I know there's lots of different options,
Mhm.
I think there's more availability than people think for people to hold space for them. And so I just want to encourage everybody to stop saying there's no one out there for me. I don't have any friends. I don't, all of the negatives that are doing that. And if you can say, I want to go find my friends. I'm going to go find my friends. I'm going to find my community, because I really do feel in this day and age we have this beautiful opportunity. We have people from all over the world that have
Yeah.
connected. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I think of all the people that I have met through Awkwardly Zen, and then the tools that I have learned from Awkwardly Zen and taken them out into the world, and the people that I've met out in the world, it's a game changer because you can connect with people, and there are opportunities for you to go find. I don't want to say you have to find the courage because I just don't. It's just an opportunity. It's one decision to go out and find it. And you could go back home and you could sit on your couch for the next month and that's okay. But just take one opportunity to find that courage to do something that's maybe out of your comfort zone and connect with someone else. And even if it's somebody at work or it doesn't have to be your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Oftentimes it's not your family. Uh,
Right.
I love my family, don't get me
I
wrong.
do too.
Mom, I love you. So, yeah, I feel like there's this amazing opportunity online that sometimes gets dismissed, and I've heard people say, well, you can't really make connections online. And I laugh out loud every time now because I think about our girls' trips with people from all over the country. And I think about how many times my house is full of Awkwardly Zen members from all over.
Yeah.
And these are my people, these are my friends. And then I get to also have people who came with me on my path who we stepped alongside one another, and it wasn't an easy thing for you and I.
No, I mean,
It wasn't hard, but it
it
wasn't
wasn't
we
hard.
weren't fast friends.
No, I would say it was a slow development, probably
Yeah.
on my case for being so, you know, fiercely protective of myself for whatever reason. But that's a whole different topic.
And there we go. And therapy number 2. So, yeah, I to me, like, what I think is so cool about our connection and our friendship is I can think back to meeting you and those opportunities, and I actually remember doing a year reading for you and sitting with you and Devin at a Starbucks and talking through, and me thinking when I walked away from that, that woman thinks I'm crazy. Like she does not, there's like, this isn't it. And now I sit here 4 years later, 5 years later, 6 years later at this point, and I laugh because I'm like, if I would have listened to myself and my ego and my concern at that point, it might have been harder for us to get to this place. And if you would have said, Amber's going to be the one that walks alongside you on this awkwardly Zen path, I wouldn't have trusted it. So I'm so grateful for that gift from source, God, universe, whatever, that they saw fit to put us together.
Yeah, me too. And what I remember from that day is all the information that came in the reading, right? And here's my son sitting next to me who is also as connected as could be. And I'm
Totally.
like, I'm just going to, absorb for today. And so I absorbed all that information. I think the most touching moment for me is you saw not even me and what I needed in the reading, but you also saw my kid. And if anybody knows me, my kids are the world to me. And um, when we were leaving, you pulled out, it was either a bell or a crystal. I think it was a crystal out of your wallet and was like, and you gave it to Devin, my son. And I just thought that was so special and how cool it was that not only did I find this person that I really admire and that I really enjoy her company, but she also accepts my kids because they're such a huge part of who I am in my life. So
Aw.
thank you for
You
making him feel loved too.
amazing kids, so it's very easy to love them. And I think that that's just it, right? Is this beautiful opportunity that we all have to connect, and with people of all ages, right? Like I think it's really easy to dismiss a child
Hmm.
as like just a child, but
Hmm.
Devin came into this world more than just a child. Uh,
Yeah.
so if anybody is dismissing this child, that is on them, not
Yeah.
not on him, right? Like he's
Yeah.
is so tuned in, and I've had so much fun with him and exploring. And I'm so grateful you're his mother, so that he has someone to help him walk forward for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. He's a cool guy.
He is a cool guy. Well, you're a cool lady, so there you go.
Oh,
And
hey,
his
thanks.
daughter is epically cool as well. We don't wanna leave
She
her.
is fire and ice and spicy and amazing. And she came into this world like that and she's still on fire. So she never ceases to amaze me.
Absolutely. So, Amber, um, just to wrap up, what is next? What can people expect?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. So oh, I am building the idea for my bed and where it's going to travel to. That idea has shifted a couple of times, but currently
As
the
it is.
the yeah, currently I'm hoping to take it at different locations around Denver. so that people can come and see me, uh, that works in the area for them. And all of that information is going to be on my website, where to find me, what the dates are. We are doing a few fairs coming up, so I will be there. We're doing the Sacred Way Fair in July, and we're doing another fair in September. So I will definitely be there. And then what I have been working on, and I don't think I've even told you this, is some learning material on that frequency, and what it means and how to work with it in terms of music and hertz and sound waves. I'm trying to compile everything that I have learned into something that someone else can take and help themselves. Because I honestly, energy is the answer to all things, in my opinion. Um, and right now, it should be the frequency of love. And so I think some of that material is going to help people get to that direction.
I love that. Well, I can't wait to see it all. Well, Amber, thank you so much for being who you are and for all of your love and volunteer hours that you pour into Awkwardly Zen. We could not do it without you. And for being here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. And Awkwardly Zen is something that's near and dear to my heart. So thanks for having me. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate you.
It would not be what it is without you. Thanks.